Oh, what a beautiful day to be out in the Belgrade Lakes area in my trusty canoe. Oh, wait, oh, look, nesting loons. Oh, okay, how are you all today? Well, we are in, excuse me as I put my paddle down, which really is a broom, but that's okay. We're pretending, you know. Anyway, so, so today's chat is about boating. Boating and fishing. I have on my oh so snug life preserver and my hat to keep me from getting a sunburn. Always protect your skin. I have some ginger ale in case the waves get too rocky. And if everything gets really slack, no fish are biting, I have a couple great books. I bet you knew I had a couple of great books, didn't you? Yes, yes, yes. With all sincerity now, it is so exciting because we are, as we record this, we have hit 70 degrees here in Belgrade, Maine in the month of May. Now, some may say, too fast, too soon. I understand all that trouble. I do. However, just to be able to see our waters so beautiful right now, and yes, in fact, the animals all coming back. Yeah, well, it inspired me. It inspired me to find some books on boating. Oh, wait! Oh, I got a nibble! Wait! Oh, gee, oh, there's something heavy in the line. Oh, wait, I gotta scoop it. I've got something. Oh, what is it? Oh, I hope it's not garbage. I must have gone down really deep because I got some minced clams. I'll save those. They'll be perfect. Perfect with my ginger ale later on. Some corn chips. Make some clam dip. Okay, all right. Okay, well, I'm going to put my net back in the water. And let's get ourselves ready for some stories, shall we? Okay. There, a little breathing room. That's good. Yes? Okay, so I'm going to do this as always. I got to kind of fluff. Give me a minute. Even though we're on a boat, we can still look good, people. All right, so now I want to give a shout out to the book Float. I was going to go through this book today. It's Daniel Mayares, and hopefully I'm saying his last name right. But it is a cool, cool book, and I may do the talk it through another time. But essentially what's happening is this little boy is making a boat, a paper boat, and he lets it go, and it goes down his street, and I know I'm going fast, but the story is so clear about what happens to this boat without one single word. And so for you at home, I highly encourage you to come get this book, and then you can share the story in your own point of view with whomever you want to share it with. So a shout out to Float. Yes. Okay. But of course, we only have time for 2 stories. Yeah? You'd get too bored if I read more and more, but 2's good a week. Yeah, that's right. So this book, Canoe Days by Gary Paulsen, illustrated by Ruth Wright Paulsen, is an absolutely beautiful, quiet canoe book. It was really my inspiration for my paddle and my life jacket and the whole bit. Not the can of clams. I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, Gary Paulsen, very well-known writer, bless his soul, no longer with us, but his wife did all the pictures, and I didn't even know she was an artist, but she went to art school. The things you learn when you read. So that'll be our first book. Our second book is another redone classic. This book from my house, but we can get it for you if you love it. It's called The Little Fisherman, and it's a fish story written by Margaret Wise Brown. And mummies and daddies, Grammy and Grampies, if you remember that name, Margaret Wise Brown wrote the classics, Runaway Bunny, I love it, Goodnight Moon, and many, many other beloved stories. And then the illustrator was, or is, she's no longer with us either, nor is Margaret Wise Brown, but Darlov Ipgar. And this book was written in 1945, 76 years ago. I didn't just do that math. I already figured that out so I wouldn't embarrass myself. But no, I'm just teasing. But it is. It's a really old story, but it's super vibrant pictures. You wait. And that's what inspired me. Where'd you go? Oh, yeah, here it is. Hang on. That's what inspired me about my fishing net. Because it's about fishermen. Okay. Now, find your spot in your canoe. That really means your chair or your bed or wherever your couch, wherever you're watching this. And I hope you are watching, people. Yes, we love it. Subscribe. Shameless plug. All right, so here's Canoe Days and Gary Paulsen. Fabulous. Here we go. Oh! Next week we're reading about loons. Okay. Sometimes when it is still, so still, you can hear the swish of a butterfly's wings. Okay, so I just want you to look here for a second. The reason the butterfly looks so big, it's not that it's a giant butterfly. It might be a good-sized butterfly. It looks like a monarch, right? Kind of a butterfly. But it's because it's the artwork is focusing on this right here in the foreground, and the rest of it's in the background. But it's beautiful scenery on a lake. So sometimes when you're still, you can hear the swish of a butterfly's wings. Sometimes when it is that still, I take the canoe out on the edge of the lake. Look at how perfect that scene is right there. I have canoe envy. One stroke of the paddle, and we are gone. The canoe and me moving silently. Just that. Sound. Across water so quiet it becomes part of the sky. The canoe glides in green magic without a ripple. Now you might ask why green. So take notice, especially if you live on the lake, you lucky person you. Of course, water will change colors based on the day, right? An overcast kind of day, a cloudy day, it looks kind of silver. A super bright day like today, it's going to look like crisp blue. And then some days it has that green look. Disappears like a ghost, floating in the air, water, over the playground where fish play. Okay, so in this picture, if you notice, there is one big fish. It looks like a pike to me, but one really big fish right here, eyeing these smaller fish getting into the weeds. And one going up for probably something to eat on the surface of the bug. The water is a window into the sky lake. Now, if you can take notice, it is a perfect reflection going on in this lake because there's not a wave, not a ripple disturbing that reflection that the water is providing, the background, the scenery. Sunfish under lily pads living in cool green rooms, watching for water bugs to make a lunch, watching for frogs to make a dinner. I bet. I mean, look, here's that frog. Can you see his leg right there? Oh no, look out, Mr. Frog. But it's the food chain. Everybody's got to eat. You do, I do. Here comes that frog and fish together. But still now, everything frozen while the cold slash of a hunting northern pike moves like an arrow through the pads, looking fiercely, searching always for something to eat. And then he's gone whoosh, into the green depths. Okay, so he's looking, right? Pikes, if you're out fishing, we get some really big pikes. Down he goes into the depths of the lake. Excuse me. Ahead is a mallard hen, her ducklings spread out like a spotted fan around her, looking for skittering oar bugs to eat. The canoe does not frighten her. She does not see the man, only the canoe, as a shiny log floating in the sun. So pretty soon, we are going to see baby ducklings, baby loons. We don't see the baby loons as much, but the ducklings, we see them pretty often. And there, a fawn, right? See the fawn, the baby little deer? A fawn on the edge, his feet in the water, ears flopping the flies away, while he watches the canoe glide past, as unafraid as the mallard. But his mother is near, in the bush, knowing better and trying to get him away with a short stamp of her feet. She's doing that in the water. Come away now. Come away now. Because the mama knows. Safe, not sorry. A fox drinks soft laps with a pink tongue while the paddle waits all still. Then the fox slips away. A raccoon turns a log looking for worms to eat. See? They are so clever with those hands of theirs. Well, paws, sorry to call them hands, but paws. They really almost function like our hands, basically. Okay, look closely here, right? See the watery snake right there? A snake moves from shore to pad, a wavy ripple, green back and light belly making it invisible when it stops. And look, water lilies. Aren't they gorgeous? There's a dragonfly right there. Oh, in fact, there's the dragonfly right there. It landed on his hat. And then, perfect on the brim of my cap, a dragonfly catches a deer fly that would have bitten me and eats there without leaving. So we have deer fly here in our town. I have them on my street, and boy, oh boy, yes, they can give you quite a bite. While I hold my breath and see the fawn and the ducks and the doe and the snake and the frogs and the fish and the fox and the badger all around me, while the sun's on my back like a golden friend on this perfect day. A canoe day. It makes me want to go, hang on, it's a canoe day. Let's go. We're going to paddle over now to another story. You ready? Okay, don't stand up in the canoe. That's not safe. Okay, all right. Okay, I knew. Oh yeah, I was just teasing you. Okay, all right. So, Our other story, as I was telling you, this is a very old story written in 1945, but the colors are very, very strong, vibrant colors, as you can tell from the cover. And so it says the little fisherman, but it's going to talk about the big fisherman and the little fisherman. So hang on. Oh, there. I had to loosen my life jacket a little bit. I still have it on. Don't you worry. I won't go without that in the boat. Nope. All right. So I should say, Darlov Ipgar was a Maine artist. She lived here in Maine, and this book was the book that got her noticed for her art. And then she wrote, as it says, did the art. It says right here, I should probably tell you, she did over 30 children's books, the artwork for them, and she lived on her farm in Georgetown Island, Maine. And so she's one of our Maine treasures in terms of her art. And Margaret Wise Brown also spent time here living in Maine, another treasure. Once there was a great big fisherman and a little fisherman. They sailed boats. Okay, so that looks like any coastal town that we have here in Maine, doesn't it? Yeah, right? They look like they're getting ready to go out and do their day's catch. Only the big fisherman sailed a big boat, really big. And the little fisherman sailed a little boat. The big fisherman had big sailors on his boat. Big sailors. All kinds of other big sailors that are there to help him catch fish. With big ropes and big buckets and big scrub brushes and big fish nets. Oh, where'd that go? Oh, it's over on the other side of the canoe. And a big hammock that they slept in at night. But the little fisherman had little sailors on his boat, little sailors. See how small? With little boats and little buckets and little scrub brushes and little fish nets and little hammocks that they slept in at night. I love this picture. Get ready. It's beautiful. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. Very early in the morning, just as the sun rose out of the sea, they went fishing. "Cast off!" shouted the big fisherman, and he pulled up his anchor and hoisted his sail. "Cast off!" shouted the little fisherman, and he pulled up his little anchor and hoisted his little sail. The wind blew up behind them and blew their boats over the sea. See the lighthouse, and here's the village that they're leaving, and they're about to set out on a big day's work. They sailed over big waves and little waves. Big birds and little birds flew over them. Big porpoises and little flying fish and seals leapt out of the water and into the air beside them. They sailed and sailed till the land behind them was out of sight, and only the sea and the sky were all around them, the blue sea and the blue sky. That's a pretty good day's job place right there, right? The office. Their office is a beautiful place. I love this picture. Look. Down below in the fishing grounds, the fish swam along the shadowy ledges of the sea. Okay, so I'm going to pause here, right? And you'll see it anyway, but let's go on the bottom. So we have crabs, right, the sideways crab walk. We have some of the seaweed, our lobster. We have some snails. Well, I guess a sea snail. Then we've got a stingray or something close to a skate. Maybe that's called a skate. Jellyfish, shark, all kinds of fish under the sea. The big fisherman heaved overboard a rope with a big piece of lead on the end of it to see how far the bottom of the ocean was. Thud! The lead struck a rock on the bottom of the sea. The rope curled in the water. Not too deep and not too shallow. Here is where I'll fish, said the big fisherman. Lower away! And his sailors lowered away the big fish net into the sea. So this, what they're doing right here, it's called sounding. So they're taking that lead and they're dropping it down to see how much line it takes to figure how deep the water is. Now, of course, we have all these instruments to tell us, but I guess they didn't. Then up sailed the little fisherman and stopped his boat. He threw his little lead over, and it sank deeper and deeper and deeper into the deep blue sea. Oh, said the little fisherman, this is too deep for me. So he sailed a little farther and dropped his little lead. Clink! The lead hit a rock on the bottom of the sea, and the rope curled in the water. Here is where I will fish, said the little fisherman. Heave away! And his little sailors heaved his little fish nets into the sea. See, here's the nets. For 7 days they fished for fish, and they slept in their hammocks at night. Okay, you can see the moon, right? They've got somebody probably watching, keeping watch to see what happens in the boat, and they probably take shifts. Oh, look, okay, so the nets have caught some fish, and the sailors are going out to collect the fish that are in the nets. They threw their nets over, and they pulled the fish in. They threw their nets over, and they pulled the fish in, and they fished for the fish of the sea. Okay? I can't comment about net fishing, but that's a great thing to look up. Hundreds of great big hundreds of great big fish, whoops, not the men, great big fish swam into the big fishermen's nets. Look how big, like I don't even know what this all is, cod or haddock, I just don't even know. Thousands of little fish swam into the little fisherman's net, thousands of little tiny, silvery, shiny, wet, and dripping, flipping, flapping fish. Yo, look how full that net is with fish. Whew. The big fisherman's boat was so full of fish that it sank low in the water. Pull in the nets and head for home, shouted the big fisherman. The little fisherman's boat was so full of fish that it sank low in the water. Pull in the nets and head for home, shouted the little fisherman. The big fisherman sailed over big waves on a very big ocean, and the little fisherman sailed over little waves on a very big ocean. There is no such thing as a little ocean. The ocean is always big. And as the wind blew behind them and filled their sails, and the seagulls are following the boats because they know there's food on those boats. They are hungry too. And pretty soon they got there, home. And the people who wanted big fish bought the big fisherman's fish. And the people who wanted little fish bought the little fisherman's fish. And then the big fisherman put his hands in his pocket and went home. And the little fisherman put his hands in his pocket and went home. And look, I think this is a funny picture because they're walking side by side. You can really see the big fisherman and the little fisherman, right? So here's the fish market, and oh, this is a very timely picture. We don't pay this anymore. It's 10 cents a pound for the fish. No inflation there. And over here it says clams. Oh, hey, see? Snow's clams right here from Maine. Okay, clams and the fish that was being sold and weighed. The big fisherman went into his big house, where his big family were waiting for him to have supper. and he took off his big boots. And the little fisherman went into his little house, where his little family was waiting for him to have supper, and he took off his little boots. Right? It really felt all the same. The house is the house, but sure enough, like, see, he's got a big dog, he's got a little dog, big children, little children. Then the big fisherman told his children a very little fish story. See how little? Oh, that's probably one like you have at your house. And the little fisherman told his children a great big fish story. So here in this one, it's the little fisherman, it's the little fisherman. But here he is, he's standing on the back of a whale. He's telling a whale of a tale. Oh, and I guess that's it. And so, yeah, that was a quick ending. And so then what I really love is they tell us more about Darla Vipgar, Maine's national treasure in terms of her artwork, and Margaret Wise Brown, who also is a treasure. I believe it says, yes, she had also an island home. She lived in Vinyl Haven. Okay? And that is it. And then the end papers on both the front of the book and the back, I think are really worth seeing as well. Because look, that artwork is, I think, beautiful. Well, okay, friends, let's recap. I highly recommend you come get this wordless book called Float. It is such a story with no words. Really, it's awesome. Then we read, inspired by my canoe trip here, Gary Paulsen's and Ruth Wright Paulsen's Canoe Days. It's like poetry. It's a beautiful, quiet book. And then a remake of a 1945 story called The Little Fisherman, story told by Margaret Wise Brown and illustrated by Darla Vipgar. We have more books by both Margaret Wise Brown and Darla Vipgar here in the library. We also have more books here in the library got stuck, by Gary Paulsen. In fact, we have his new book here. Yeah? All right, come on in. Come get some books. Until then, may your skies stay bright and your canoe go smoothly over the ponds. Okay, let's head over to the blue craft table where we have all kinds of options this week. See you in a minute. Anchors away at the craft table. Well, I attempted to be inspired and was inspired by both of these wonderful boat books. And so I decided to try my hand at boat making. Well, okay, and I couldn't decide how I wanted the boat to be, so I made two different versions, and then I'll explain what you're going to receive. So the first one I made, I was like, go simple, think about the canoe boat. And so I just took the recycled little yogurt cups, and what I did is I took a craft stick, I covered the sail with duct tape, which will stay nice and dry, and hot glued the sail on the inside of my boat. I'm trying to think what kind of boat. Rub-a-dub-dub, that's all that comes to my head. And then I just put with a permanent marker, just XOXO, smiley face, that kind of stuff, okay? Oh, and I couldn't let it alone, so I found a magazine that had some sunglasses and sun, so I played with that. Okay, so that's how I made this one. Then this one, I was like, there's got to be another way. And I love pontoon boats. They're so much fun to go out in. Lucky you if you can get a chance to do that. All right, well, the reason that the sail is fighting me is I put the duck too close to the sail, so that's just that. So let me tell you how I did this. Well, in your kit, you will have a piece of cardstock already cut, and I took duct tape and I covered it so that it's waterproof. Okay, so then that's all done. Then what I have for you, and again, this is like whatever float boat you want to make. Okay, so first I made these sails. These really, I like the shape of them. Nice yellow sails. Mine's called SS Maine. But then I was thinking, but wait a minute, this is construction paper and it will get wet. So then I made some sails out of contact paper. And so it's all plasticized. And so it won't get wet. So you decide, but on the, so that's how I made the top. And then on the bottom, what I did is I took 4 of those recycled K-cups. And then I just took some duct tape and secured the K-cups to the bottom of my pontoon boat. And I made sure to cover up the little hole. Remember, they have a little hole, and that's how the coffee comes out. But anyway, that's that. They're all washed and ready to go. So in your kit, you will have the plastic yogurt cup that will float just like this. Oh, you'll have a super fun time in the bathtub, just for example. Or if you want to make the pontoon boat, then I've got 4 of these K-cups, and that will be there. So in summary, in second summary, because I did a summary for the story as well, so summary number 2, I'm giving you options, because isn't that great? And there are so many kinds of boats that we can get a chance to try out in our lives. In this case, we've got a little pontoon boat and a little dinghy. Okay? Well, that's it, folks. Another week. Number 30 at that. 30 films of library reading. How fabulous. And until next week, we will see you. And make sure you keep your sunscreen close when you get in those boats. Okay, see you later. Bye-bye.